Depending upon the status of your marriage, the following words are either the beginning of paradise, harmony, and matrimony, or the beginning of a cruel and disastrous reality. V'ashbiacha b'Hashem Elokei hashomayim ve'Elokei ha'aretz asher lo sikach isha libeni mibenos haknani asher anoichi yoshev b'kirbo. His Parachav Daled Pasuk Gimel, that Shidduchim begins, that marriage begins, that man being Avraham Avinu, commands his servant, the one who is in charge of his house and all of his possessions, his accountant, if you will, to swear to him by the God of the heavens and the God of earth that you pick a good shidduch for my boy, my little Yitzchakal. Only the best will do. I want to make sure that the midos are there. I want to make sure that they get along well. I want to make sure that she's from a good family. And I really want to make sure she's not a part of any bad crew or a part of a cursed nation. And as is the custom, being a individual who graduated from Yeshivas Mir, the custom in Mir always on Parshas Chayei is to dissect the entire episode of the finding of a shidduch, the very first shidduch in the beginning of marriage, to peel it apart limb by limb, to try to glean every possible insight about what to look for in a spouse, about how to go about finding your spouse, and how to improve the relationship that one has with their spouse to solidify it as a Bayis ne'eman b'Yisrael. So every letter is turned over, and every single response to every question and every inquiry of our Parsha will be going underneath a microscope for us to try to understand. So today, with that being the job, I want to present to you 3 crucial beliefs and mindsets that a person should have while searching for a significant other, a partner, things to keep in mind in Shidduchim. And for those of us that are married, how to stay married and stay married in a happy, tranquil, serene, peace-filled, and exciting marriage. These are not the only 3 that it will take, but these are 3 of the never-ending list of foundational teachings that one needs to be happily married. But 3 is a good start. The first yesod that is very, very clear, not from just our Parsha, but from the Torah itself. If we break down the entire essence of marriage, why it is that people get married, and where does it actually come from? Because we are individuals that seek to follow the divine commandments. Where does marriage begin? Starts with the creation of Adam and Eve. 2nd chapter, 24th pasuk. Akin ya'azov ish es aviv es imoy v'dovak v'ishtoi v'hayu lebasar echad. Hence a man shall leave his parents' house, mom and dad, go out of the basement and turn off your Xbox and cling to a wife and become one flesh. The pasuk tells us, Al-Kain, therefore. Therefore, where's the pasuk concluding this? It's being concluded from the reality that Adam and Chava got married. This is what Hashem told Adam and Chava to do. God literally created his shidduch out of thin air or out of his own rib and said, get married and live a life and become one flesh, get to know each other. And therefore, the Torah commands, and everyone should take a page out of Adam and Chava's playbook and get married. Al-Kain, therefore, since Adam and Chava got married, everyone get married and become one flesh. The question, I heard the great Rav Wolbe ask, the great Rav Wolbe, who wrote the Alishar, his grandson, hosts a great podcast in Houston. really intellectual and brilliant fellow and a real righteous person, he asks, citing his grandfather, if we're to learn marriage and how to build happy marriages, you don't think maybe we can learn it from a couple that didn't kind of mess up in their Shalom Bayis to a point that it wrecked the whole world and really brought about death into the world? Because what happened at the end of Adam and Chava's marriage? Well, it wasn't a 50th silver, gold wedding anniversary on a cruise in the Caribbean, but far from that. Chava takes fruit when perhaps the snake, so another person is chatting with her, frolicking with her. She goes with the snake, falls for his tails, then brings her husband down into catastrophe. Adam ends up blaming Chava to Hashem, Ha'isha asher nosata, the woman that you gave me from this tree of knowledge. Everyone is pointing fingers, and everything goes up in smoke. They had many children after that, but life was never the same. Forever clothes need to be created in order to now make up for the glaring nakedness of everyone. But this is the end of marriage, and akin Yazov, and therefore, see everyone how great marriage is? Everyone's got to get married. As we saw Adam and Chava did. Frekt Rav Wolbe, why not wait to learn from Avraham and Sarah? How about learn from that beautiful, peaceful marriage where Avraham was Megayer es ha-noshim and Sarah Megayeres es ha-noshim. They all were making people religious, cooking up soups for the homeless, building up other people. They complimented each other constantly. We learn about all these stories of the angels that came to their house and how Shechina dwelled inside of their tent. Why not wait for the Avraham and Chava narrative, Avraham and Sarah narrative, and then and only then command that everyone should get married? And this leads us to the first crucial point of building a successful marriage. The elucidate is because we can only learn marriage from Adam and Chava. Because marriage is about creating that there is only one individual of the other species in the entire world, and I only have eyes for that person. Marriage is about creating a reality where my home, my husband, my wife, that is the definition of boy, the definition of girl. A yichud, a modesty and a privacy and a connection. That there's only one girl in the world. There's only one boy in the world, and that's my spouse. It's a very, very passionate essay of mine in Mitzvah 582 out of the 613 mitzvos of the Sefer HaChinuch as he's counting all the mitzvos. It's about the mitzvah Sheyismach HaChosan Im Ishto Shana Achas. There's a mitzvah called Shana Rishona, where the commandment is that a man is not able to leave the city, not able to go on long business trips, but he must gladify, not sure if that's a word, rejoice, and really build up his relationship with his new wife. Shelo yisach chutz la'ir lo teis la'milchama. You can't be drafted to the army. V'lo la'inyanim acherim la'sheves zulasam yabim rabim. You can't go on a long guy's ski trip. And la'yeshev ima shana shlema miyom hanesuin. 1 entire year, 365 days. And why? Why? What is the importance and the, maybe we'll say, psychological and philosophical underpinnings of this mitzvah? Mishorshe ha-mitzvah. Ki akel baruch hu Allah b'machshava lefanav livros ha'olam. God conjured up the idea to create the world. And that the species should recreate itself between man and woman coming together. It should be all in purity, because any sort of licentiousness is repulsive in the eyes of Hashem. Therefore, God commanded the Jewish people, rather you should sit and build your relationship with the woman who is special for you, in order to establish healthy children, and you should be there for one full entire year. Kidei. For what purpose? Why was Shana Rishona created? Lahargel hateva ima ulidavek harotzon esla l'hachnes tziyura v'chopula b'alev ad sheyavai eitzel hateva kol maisa isha acheres v'chol in yoneha derech zoros ki kol teva b'roi v'yevakesh v'yeha mishiyargel bo. In English, so that the person should become accustomed. His nature, his heart, his desires, they're all for this one person, and to bring into his heart the image and every action inside of his heart for that species is only that person. I only have seen one man or one woman for 1 year. It becomes so ingrained in your DNA and teva that that is woman, that is man. And any other individual, your husband or wife's friends, they are Isha Zara. They're not even a woman, not a man. There's only one in my life. And like this, that breeds a healthy marriage which produces healthy children. Shana Rishona is about creating a yichud, a privacy, a connection. Marriage is about building up that there is only one girl in the world for me. There is only one man in the world for me. That lesson, there's only one couple that we can learn it from. And that's when there was no people in the world except for Adam and Chava, literally the only male in the world and the only female. The importance of only having eyes for one's own spouse cannot be overstated. The comparing of spouses, the comparing of other spouses' midos, how she looks, or how he learns, or how this one has this fancy thing. It is a cancer for anyone that seeks a harmonious marriage. In the future, and perhaps even 5 to 10 years into a marriage, if problems arise, in any area, often it can be traced back to a failure to capitalize and perform Shana Rishona correctly. Because if they did, if the yichud, if the connection is solid in a home, if man and woman both screw their heads on straight and make their relationship to be like one of Adam and Chava, then most likely they never would have even bumped into this new hiccup. Number 2. You just read one more parak or a parak and a half, almost 2 prakim, you bump into another pasuk about marriage. The Torah tells us, "V'ha'adam yodas Chava ishto." Adam knew his wife. He knew his wife. V'tahar v'atelet as kain. Oh, then they had a child. Rashi explains, Onkelos explains, translates that yoda, Adam knowing his wife, is really a lashon of marrying her and procreating with her. But the Netziv, the great Rosh Yeshiva of Volozhin, in his Sefer Emek Davar, his commentary on the Torah, points out, it's interesting, don't you think? Roi ladas. You should know, shebekol makam dichsev b'lashon yediyah, gabe tashvish hamita, marriage, procreation, is always described as knowing. Marriage, procreation is described as knowing your spouse. Knowing your spouse. I hear my Rabbeim and my Rosh Yeshivos drilling this into me in their Musar Shmuzim, their orations of chastisement and rebuke, that marriage is about getting to know the other player. What is my wife's favorite food? Do you know that? Can you answer that question? Does she like going on ski trips? Or does he or she like to go to a sunny tropical environment for vacation? What's their favorite holiday of the year? What do they enjoy doing on Shabbos? What can I do to then promote their happiness in life? On my first Shidduch date with my holy Rebbitzin, it was very hot outside, and I decided I would get some Slurpees, because Slurpees are always a winner. Coke, one flavor. Cherry, another flavor. And I was very excited about the two different Slurpees that I placed in front of us. I quickly grabbed the red one because I'm not a big Coca-Cola fan. Probably poor Midos. But I was able to sneak by. But eventually I learned that it was totally backwards. Because my holy Rebbitzin likes red Slurpees. Red is the favorite color of her candy. Red is her favorite flavor of Slurpee. But I had no idea. So while a person could attempt to be kind, considerate, and benevolent, but if you don't yoda, if you do not know the other person, you will brutally fail and go tumbling down the mountain of a terrible marriage. Rahman al-Islam. Heaven forbid. Yoda. God wants us to get to know the other person and to come together as one. So take time to think about it. Take time, even if you are married, to play those dating games, those couples games, to get to know the other person. Get to know their struggles. Get to know their achievements. Get to know all of the great memories that they've made in the past, and get to know where they want to go. Yoda. Know them. Number 3. And perhaps number 3 comes to us at a time that is very auspicious. Because it is the time that we are to be reading Parshas Chayei, but this midah, this attribute that we are to discuss in marriage, it's very much the glue that keeps the marriage firing on all cylinders. It's Parshas Chayei, it's our Parsha of the week. It's in Chav Daled, Perak Chav Daled, that is 24, and Pasuk 67. All the way at the very end of this incredible shidduch happening where Eliezer travels to go and find a wife for his master, Avraham's son, and his name is Yitzchak. And Rivka then agrees to follow Eliezer back home. The famous episode where they finally lock eyes and Yitzchak is going out to daven mincha, and Rivka sees Yitzchak and then falls off of her camel or donkey, whatever she was riding. Maybe she lowered herself down. Vayetze Yitzchak lasuach basada. Ultimately, the couple was introduced. They had their basho. They met. Vayivieha Yitzchak ha'ohela. Sarah imo. And Yitzchak brought Sarah into his house. Vayikachas Rivka. Vatihi lo leisha. And he took her and he married her. Vayavieha vayinachim Yitzchak achre imo. And Yitzchak became consoled in his mother's departing, in his mother's death, in his new wife named Rivka. And in the very translation of the very simple and straightforward words of Vayikach Rivka vatihi lo leisha, he took her, and now Rivka became a wife for Yitzchak. Uncle is the definitive Aramaic translation, and the translation of the Torah that was given at Sinai. Targum Uncle is al Bereshis Chav Dalet Samech Zayin says the following: Va'al lo Yitzchak lemashkano v'chaza, and then Yitzchak brought his wife into his home. And instead of saying right away that the translation is that he married her, Uncle says, "V'chazo v'hosaknin oivde Sarah ime unesev yas Rivka v'havas leila into." He saw that, behold, this girl's deeds were good like the deeds of his mother. And then he married Rivka, and Rivka became his wife. Harei at li into. The translation of Vayikach is Rivka is that he brought her into the tent and saw that she had good midos like his mother. Zokta Briska Rab, says the holy Reb Yitzchok Zev Soloveitchik in his Sefer on Torah, that you could have miracles upon miracles happening on your journey to find your shidduch. You could have billboards going off that say the couple's name. You could have water fountains just miraculously turning on and sprouting water like happens in this miraculous episode. But no matter the amount of miracles and supernatural occurrences, if you don't see good mitos, if you don't see meritorious deeds, if you have faulty character traits, well, then it's not a shidduch and it's not a marriage. Well, it is a marriage, but it's not a peaceful one. Because after all the miracles that happened on this shidduch date, the Brisker Rav points out that Yitzchak still waited to see good midos. Ladies and gentlemen, it sometimes gets overstated or just falls into the crowd of all the other important factors of marriage. It's all about midos. Midot tovot. And I always love to point out in the story, when looking for a shidduch, Eliezer, what is his sign that Rivka or that the proper shidduch has been found? It is if she has good midos, if the water, she asks to fill water and gives the jugs of pails of water to the animals, and she's a giving person, and she's a sharing person, and she's very, very easygoing. He doesn't even ask if she's Jewish. Do you believe in the Abrahamic faith and monotheism? No questions about that. Hashkafa questions. Do you watch movies? Do you smoke cigarettes? Nothing of the like. Tikkun midos, perfection of character, and the ability and the necessary obligation to ceaselessly break bad midos and build up good ones. That's the goal of marriage and what one should probably put at the top of his list and what to look for in a significant other. You should ask, how do I figure that out? Well, normally you can figure out somebody's midos, not from the date itself, because everyone puts on their best behavior, but normally from the type of friends that they have, because miserable, self-centered people aren't very popular. You probably could also figure out from previous roommates, if you press hard enough, by asking the right questions, if that person is one of those people that won't share their water bottles even though they have a 24-pack. If you know what I mean. It's about midos. In marriage, the whole thing, an experiment, a laboratory to break midos, to give in, to be mevater to your wife, to be mevater to your husband, to not care that somebody has wronged you, to forgive, to be compassionate, to have eyes for what they want, to not be self-centered, to together not be complacent, to build more, to enrich others' lives, breaking of midos constantly. It may be a very good idea to gamify the whole breaking midos, to turn it into some sort of competitive game with your spouse, where let's see who can be mevater, let's see who can give more. I beat you, no, you beat me this time. Let's see who can cool off from their temper or their jealousy more quickly, who can be more calm. A game, a competition, anything to promote and live together in a way of breaking midos as the very fulcrum of a happy marriage. It might even be a good idea to have a chavrusa together, boy and girl. A married couple learning to try to stay focused about tikkun amidas together. Learn Orchas Tzadikim. Learn English translations. Learn the Chafetz Chaim. Just so you stay focused. That breaking bad midos and promoting good ones is what is going to be the glue that we can create to build a Bayis Ne'eman B'Yisrael. Ladies and gentlemen, these three things to create a reality that your spouse is the only one of that endangered species left in the world. There's only one boy or one girl in the world. That mindset, necessary. Yoda es ishto, to know your spouse, to get to really know them, what makes them tick, either tick in a good way or tick off in a bad way, necessary. And to obsess over always breaking your own bad character traits, and to incessantly promote good habits, good character traits, good midos, necessary. So, I hope we take this to heart and give it our best shot. Refresh ourselves in these areas. Because whether you are pre-betrothal or you have already espoused, already gotten married, and seeking to solidify a happy marriage that's based on Torah values, consider these important facts and these lessons taught to us by the Holy Torah that are really crucial for building a home where Hashem's presence can dwell.
Kilam kedosh